Airbenders has put together a platform for people to share their experiences. I think Vijay and Madhu and a lot of other leaders on Airbenders have done a really good job of empowering other leaders within their team and outside. And this is one of their ways to make sure that happens. So a lot of cool experiences that have been shared in the past. I think it was kickstarted by Vijay on his experiences as India captain. When he invited me, I was really a little bit shy. I was not really sure how I could contribute. I thought I'd put together a topic which come directly from my travels around the country, where I've seen a lot of ultimate in places that most people are not used to seeing. And I thought I'll just share that experience with you. The pictures and a video that I'm showing today is basically all from direct experiences I've had with these different communities, ultimate Frisbee communities across India. I'm just going to start sharing my screen, and this is, we can keep it interactive. At any point of time, just feel free to cut in and ask questions. Happy to go back and forth. We also have Akshay on call today. There's also Sumesh. Akshay is actually one of the, his organization is one of the organizations featured in today's presentation. Sumesh works with me as part of UPAI operations, and Sumesh takes the lead in sport for development activities for the UPAI. So both of them would hopefully be also help answering questions today. So with that, I'm just going to share the screen, just a second. Cool. So I just want to start out with this, which is Airbenders logo, which I did get, and thought I'll use it this way. So thank you, Airbenders, and for putting together this awesome Breakside initiative. With that, I'll switch over to my presentation. Cool. So the presentation is actually named Breaking Barriers. So often we see what's really exciting and interesting about Ultimate Frisbee in India is the fact that people from all different kinds of backgrounds are able to play the sport. Recently, during executive board operations call, one of the things that I remember Sumesh, who's here on the call and also works with me, as I mentioned earlier, he basically mentioned that the special thing about Ultimate Frisbee is it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, whether you're a CEO running a huge business, or a professor, or you're delivering water to that same professor's house. It doesn't really matter. On the field, you're considered to be the same, your friends or your competitors. And all that really matters is how you play and the passion with which you play with spirit. And so that's really the crux of Ultimate Frisbee for a lot of us. And I just wanted to kind of take you all with me on a journey across India in many different places where such barriers are being broken, and you know, real friendships have been forged through this game, through the sport. And so I just wanted to share that with you. So Everyone Plays is actually the name of a Sky magazine documentary that was made about Chennai's Ultimate Frisbee 5 years ago. And so I kind of borrowed it here. Just wanted to give them credit. What is Ultimate Frisbee is appeal? As I mentioned, what is the appeal to me was that, you know, where people are unified on the field. There's no difference between people. But at the same time, there's lots of NGOs in India. if you want some numbers, like there's actually, I believe there's one doctor for 1,400 people in India, something like that. And then there's one NGO for 400 people in India. So per capita, we are the highest in terms of non-government agencies, non-government organizations, people, individuals, organizations that work outside of the government to provide some basic services to kind of, help level the playing field, so to say. So a lot of NGOs, as you know, work in cities. I know Bangalore, Chennai have loads of NGOs, but there's also lots of NGOs who are out in the countryside, rural areas where there are less resources, even though there's less human resources, so they bring that to make a change to people's lives. So what does Ultimate Frisbee as a sport or as an activity appeal in what way? So you can see that we have mixed gender and spirit of the game, which includes self-refereeing. So it's automatically teaching two things. One is gender equity, gender equality, how men and women have to be treated equal in an ideal world. And the fact that conflict can be resolved through communication, through friendship, through healthy competition. So that's these two major concepts that are automatically in Ultimate Frisbee's rules of the game, is very appealing to NGOs to implement it immediately in their surroundings. So they don't really need some fancy lectures or some experts to come in and teach these two difficult concepts of conflict resolution and gender equality. They simply can introduce the game, and children or young people start to play it and understand these two concepts pretty quickly. The other cool thing about Ultimate Frisbee as a venue for introducing change in NGOs is the fact that it's low cost. All you need is a disc. You can basically take care of a couple of batches of 20 people each. And the fact that it's quick to learn. So you don't need a tremendous 6-month course to learn Ultimate Frisbee. Most of you know that within a couple of weeks, you can get from zero to decent. And if you really try hard within 6 weeks to 8 weeks, you can get to start playing at a pretty good level. So these two things actually make it even better for NGOs to adopt the sport quickly. In India, in the last 5 years, the UPAI has given me and many other people plenty of opportunities to make relationships with these different NGOs across the country. This is not an exhaustive list. This is kind of the current active list that we know. This is a list of NGO partners across the country. The green ones are in rural areas. The blue ones are kind of metro or city-based. And then there are a couple of orangish ones which are just beginning. So if any of you by the end of this talk is excited about this and want to be a part of it, reach out to us, reach out to Sumesh or me or Mrinalini on the operations team. We'd be happy to connect you. So the orange ones are not going to be covered in today's talk. I'm just going to be talking about 4 of them, 4 of these NGOs. But we have information about all of them, and we can share that with you. So the Ethical Tea Partnership is an NGO in Assam that works with tea gardens, and they want to introduce Ultimate Frisbee to tea workers, laborers who work in the tea gardens, and their children. So it's a very exciting partnership. Ethical Tea Partnership is a UK-based NGO fighting for the rights of tea garden workers. There's called Manipur. So Manipur is a pretty exciting place, way east and really beautiful. Called Manipur is an organization that wants to bring Ultimate Frisbee there to Imphal. Again, reach out to me if you want more information. And Muskan is an NGO in Bhopal in Madhya Pradesh. It's literally in the center of the country. It's already got an Ultimate Frisbee team. There's about 40 people, and they have a 20 girls, I think, very strong women leadership in that team. And they are looking to expand, and that's another project that we'll be rolling out pretty soon. So this is kind of like NGOs listed here, the country. There's more. There's, I think, a lot of work being done in Surat and Ahmedabad, which we are not exactly connected to directly. There's also work done by Chennai-based Katradi, which is an NGO that works with lots of other NGOs across the country. They do a mix of art forms, that is theater and sports. And sport is Ultimate Frisbee there. It's run by Liz Haynes. She plays for Airborne, and many of you know her. That's Katradi's initiative is called Bridging the Gaps. And they are outside of this network, and so they have their own network, which I just wanted to give credit to and let you all know. The other NGO is, of course, based in Delhi, which is called Y Ultimate. Y Ultimate is run by Binoy, Shishir, and Vivekanand. These are folks from the GKMAD organization, and they are doing a fantastic job, again, similar to Bridging the Gaps, BTG. They have their own network of NGO partners. So these are two other organizations which you can reach out to. Just looking at a quick look at the numbers, you can see there's over 6,000 players that are in these NGOs, and that is the majority of Ultimate Frisbee players in India come from these type of teams or organizations. So this is a big number for us to keep in mind as we think about the growth of Ultimate in India. So the first NGO that I'll be talking about is called One All. It's actually based in Tamil Nadu, but it's based in two cities. One is called Gudalur, which is inside the Nilgiri Hills, where there's lots of different indigenous tribes. They're called Adivasis, and there's like many sub-tribes in there. That is an NGO which is located in Gudalur as well as in Chennai. In Chennai, they play and practice and do community work on the beaches of North Chennai. This is run by a couple of Ultimate Frisbee players, Varsha Yashwant Kumar from Bangalore and Chiai Uraguchi, who lives in Chennai. So these two folks are running One All. So quick look at One All. There's about 300 players that are in their extended setup, two different locations, and the picture that you see is the really beautiful Nilgiri Hills in the background. These kids are just amazing. There's simply the kids from tribes, from the Adivasi community are quite gender agnostic, so they don't really care about who should be the dominant gender. They just pick up the disc and play. So it's really nice and interesting to work with them. There were two teams that played in the National Championship Series in the last year. Also we had 6 of these kids, the girls from this community, attend the tryouts for the WJUC team, the junior team. And 3 got selected to go to Delhi. You can see the 3 of them in the picture with Varsha, who is one of the co-founders and directors of One All. And they're heading. This is the first time they've actually seen a train in real life. They've never been in a train. So it was a pretty exciting journey for them, like 36 hours to go to Delhi, and they had a great time. In Delhi, I believe they went into the metro, and the Delhi metro is again another experience. For them, it was a little terrifying, but overall they came out good. They came back really strong, really enjoyed the tryouts. Didn't make it to the team though, but I think these are tremendous Ultimate Frisbee players with a great foundation of what Frisbee actually means in real life, which is what One All teaches. They teach life skill development through the platform of Ultimate Frisbee. I think these are great players. They're going to be, you'll be seeing them soon on hopefully some national teams in the future. So that's about One All. So next, one second. Yeah. So next up is Project Khel. We actually have Project Khel's founder and president, Akshay Abraham. So any questions that you can think of, we have the opportunity to hear it from him. But I wanted to talk about Project Khel a bit. Project Khel has been around only for the last 4 years. They attended, like I mentioned before, Liz Haynes ran BTG, Bridging the Gaps. I was also initially working with her closely on that in those years. At that time, the 11 kids from Project Khel came to the Bridging the Gaps camp, which I think was held in Ahmedabad. This was probably 2015. These kids came, learned Frisbee, went back. Akshay also was there. They went back and then they kickstarted this amazing program. And over the last 5 years, they have taught more than 1,300 kids to play Ultimate. Their big focus is on gender right now, and they have really strong role models of women role models on their team. They have 4 women that were selected to the national team, the junior team. They have their own section. That's how much they have grown. So Lucknow, which is where Project Khel is based, has its own northeast section because they have so many teams there now. And they have some amazing fields, which I think we missed out this year because nationals got cancelled because of some of the unrest that was happening across the country. Hopefully we'll get there next year to see the beautiful fields of Lucknow. Just wanted to share a quick video which Akshay shared with me. This is for Women's Day last year when they kind of shot this video where they wanted to, their messaging is clearly whatever men can do, women can do, probably better. This is something that you can see like how fundamentally strong the organization makes women with regards to how outside society is perceiving women. The cool thing is like the 4 girls that were selected on the national team from Lucknow, they were some of the strongest and both on and off the field in the national team. It was very easy to coach. They had already gone through a fantastic system of mentoring and coaching through Project Khel. You can see like with in the video with some limited resources that are available, Akshay and his team have made a really good effort to get these athletes to elite form. Also, like I don't know if any of you had experience playing against these kids in nationals last year, maybe. They are fantastic. They're fun. They are very spirited, and all if you look at the number of touches, how the disc is distributed, really awesome. There's no real big distinction on women to men in these teams. So I'll let you go through the video. In the meantime, if you have questions about Project Khel, feel free to just jump in. Cool. So that's Project Khel. Next, we'll move all the way west to Rajasthan, place near Udaipur, which is called Kotra. This is an NGO called Kshamtalaya, which is another super cool NGO. They work in the Kotra district of Rajasthan, which Kotra and nearby Golconda, these two districts are some of the poorest and possibly in terms of literacy quite low on the national average. The Kshamtalaya works in schools and in basically middle schools, which is until 8th standard. They have covered 30 schools and they have introduced Ultimate Frisbee to over 300 kids. What they're trying to do this year is bring it into the school syllabus. Most of these schools are actually, government-run schools which have one or two teachers for about 80 to 100 kids. So they're really, struggling schools. What Kshamtalaya does is add to it. Add to the capacity building of these schools and hopefully make education much more fun for these kids. So their big focus is on reducing dropouts and to get girls enrolled more in school. And so what they do is they use it as a tool to encourage boys in the school who are already enrolled to go out there to their villages and get girls to come to school. What you can see in this picture is actually the boys and a couple of girls also taking a survey in their villages and showing like how many kids are there in the village, how many are girls, how many are boys, how many attend school. And this is part of their Ultimate Frisbee program, where they had to get the survey numbers and figure out how to recruit girls so that they could continue to play Ultimate Frisbee. So they're using Ultimate Frisbee as a lever to get more girls to enroll. The other cool thing that Kshamtalaya does is the Ultimate Frisbee Fellowship. So they have a fellowship where you basically can see the fellows on the top left corner. These are Kshamtalaya fellows. They're called iDiscover fellows. And the iDiscover Fellowship has 3 spots open for Ultimate Frisbee. So they need to go out there and teach 30 schools Ultimate Frisbee, and they have a certain curriculum which they've been developing in partnership with the UPAI. And a super cool place, very amazing people, loving and caring, and they do a great job in the schools there. So the last NGO that I'll be talking about today is called the Ant. The Ant is actually stands for the Action Northeast Trust, and it's based in Rumwari, which is a village cluster in West Assam. The Ant is a pretty old NGO. It's been around for 20 years, and they have a tremendous reach. They reach over 300,000 villagers in Assam, and they also have a great network of other NGOs. And what they've done is, you can see all the in the cluster, which basically in the northeast, there's a whole bunch of hotspots there, and all of those were kickstarted by the Ant, and we work with them to reach out to 6 other NGOs to kickstart Ultimate Frisbee programs there, including the Ethical Tea Partnership that I spoke about in the beginning. We also had one in Meghalaya, which is technically in the northeast but not part of Assam, and we had the Faith Foundation, which is one of the NGOs that's our partner listed here. Faith Foundation is close to Shillong, and they are also introduced to us by the Ant. In fact, a couple of months ago, we had sent Surbi, who's on this call, as a in partnership with another organization called Pliquity and UPAI and the Faith Foundation. The 3 organizations wanted to teach a bunch of girls Ultimate Frisbee in Shillong. And so we had gone there for a couple of weeks before a different kind of unrest happened, and then this COVID-19 crisis. So essentially, that project is kind of suspended right now. But yeah, there's a lot of ultimate frisbee happening in the Northeast due to the ants programming. Incidentally, the one of the other NGOs that's featured here, which is called Art of Play, which is run by Anish Mukherjee. Anish Mukherjee is a big ultimate frisbee fan, and he was he learned ultimate from JD Patel long time ago. And he went on to the Ant and to introduce ultimate frisbee there in 2015. And then he went back and started his own NGO in Delhi. So really small world and connected by ultimate frisbee, which is a kind of cool thing. So a little bit more about the Ant. Here, there's just sheer numbers is just mind-boggling. There's more than 5,000 players, but active players, I would say, is about 4,200. They, like I said, they cover a lot of ground in Assam, and they have some really cool team structures that we helped come up with the Ant. So basically, their focus is on peace building. Huge communal violence over the years, and one of the ways to kind of manage that was ultimate frisbee for them. So what they've done is essentially set up teams that would qualify to championships, but to set up what they call as multi-ethnic teams. So multi-ethnic team is basically a team cannot have they have to have a certain team structure. So in Assam, like in many places in India, there's multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multilingual differences. And so similarly in Assam, there's like people that speak different languages: Bengali, Assamese, Bodo, and then some tribal languages. And then there's also religion, Christians and Bodo Hindus and Muslims who come from Bangladesh, immigrants. So that's another bunch. And so essentially, and then different tribes. So what they have done is for a team to qualify to play in the National Championship Series in the UPAI NCS seasons, a team has to be multi-ethnic. So they have to have a representation of three religions, three tribes, and three languages have to be represented across the team. Every team has a strict roster policy. There's only 10 girls and 10 boys allowed. And that's like, there's no minimum maximum. That's it. That's the roster. You have to have 10 boys and you have to have 10 girls. And most of these are maybe 10 people. Other than 10, there are like pretty much everyone in these teams are under 17, under 18. So they're all in high school or middle school. So very young population, very athletic, learning the skills right now. We've had many people from the UPAI fraternity visit the Ant and help them with developing ultimate frisbee there. Recently, we had, I'll show you in a bit. Recently, we had Abhinav and Mai, who are national team coaches, and they went there to run a SOTG clinic. So this, and they at the same time they also did in the bottom right corner, they also did a pre-tryout for the WJUC team. Two girls got selected, one as an alternate and one on the regular team. And the SOTG clinic, here you can see them showing how violation should be called on the field. So there's very great numbers, just mind-boggling to fathom for the rest of us who are struggling with getting people to play ultimate. And there, that's all they do. And there's, as you can see, like beautiful fields all over the place, and it's green naturally. And it's just amazing. The only issue in Assam is the rains. They're about 5 to 5.5 months every year. And so at that time, obviously, you can play Ultimate, but when there's lightning, it's hard to do that. Other than that, it's been an amazing experience for me to go there. I used to go there almost every month. So there's lots of cool things going on in Assam if you're interested. With that, this basically rounds out the end of my talk. If these are the NGOs that we were talking about before, I'm happy to answer any questions about any of these NGOs. I had mentioned Y Ultimate and Katradi before. That's they have their own network of NGOs, as I mentioned. Happy to take any questions as of now, and I think there's some questions were there, and when we cut the call, I think they went off. Not sure if anybody has had a chance to save them or see them. I think Surbi asked a question and Akshay asked a question. So if you wanted to speak up, we can try to answer them now.
Manix, I'm just reposting the questions here. I think Akshay had answered the questions. Unfortunately, I've missed the answers. Akshay, if you could maybe share that again, that'll be great.
Okay, that's for Akshay. Super. Akshay, you can speak. It'll be easier, right? No?
Manix, I have a question.
Yeah.
So it's Soumya. I play with Stray Dogs. Just had a question. So you know there are these articles that came out on Ultiworld recently on you read them. Okay, so for the others, there were articles that came out about gender equity and in the US, and there was a small, not really a study, but someone looked up videos of national games and of their national championships with this data on the number of touches by women and men. And then there was another article which goes more in details on what these teams are doing and their strategies and all of that. So my question is more about India. I think in general, playing mixed is a challenge. And my questions were more around how do you, what would be your suggestions for teams to reach that gender equity? Because I think you've played with a lot of teams in India as well as outside of India, and you've been playing for quite some time also. So, and we see that this is a challenge irrespective of countries or cities, like, it's just always there. So if you have any thoughts on that.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Soumya. It's a great question. Not sure many of you have seen the Ultiworld article that Soumya was referring to. I'll share it after this, or maybe Soumya, you can just post the link here. Coincidentally, I'm not trying to take away anything from Ultiworld. When 3 months ago, I think that was in February, right? Yeah. So when we had the national conference, we presented. UPAI had worked with another organization called Playquity and with Ashoka University, and we had done our own gender equity study, looking at national championship series footage, actually going to different teams and doing questionnaires and looking at their practices and also shooting footage of their practices. So practice versus game footage is where it's kind of like what's being reported and what's actual. So these kind of data sets we had collected, and we're actually analyzing them right now. So we're pretty much doing the same study for India. We presented preliminary results of the study during the national conference in February in Bangalore, and I'll send you a link for that. Yes, it's definitely challenging to play mixed ultimate, especially as a woman. So basically, the idea that the Ultiworld article conveyed is majority of the touches during a game are by men, which is, all of us would know that already. What we studied as part of our data collection is a couple of different things. And what we learned, and it's going to come out, so I don't want to like kind of talk about specifics, but kind of a broad thing, and it's very common sense related, is that what we learned is when teams provide opportunities for leadership and inclusivity at the very top, like teams are for the most part hierarchical because it's hard to organize otherwise. And when you do not have representation at the very top, where women have the agency to make decisions for themselves and for others, and are given that opportunity by men. Honestly, that's what's been happening. Men have to give that opportunity. When that doesn't happen, then you see this massive, disproportionate and dominant play from men on the field. So there's very few teams out there that actually have women leading on the field. There's few and far between, and those are pretty much the teams that are making a difference. They are the excellent teams. They're the teams that you cannot just simply beat. Every good competitive team is now understanding that if you do not have good women players, you're not going to be doing well. And so mixed gender ultimate, as much as it is frustrating to women that play, especially when they're used to playing single gender ultimate, or they have had a chance to play single gender ultimate, mixed gender ultimate offers that opportunity for everybody to learn. Sometimes causes a lot of pain and suffering, but the teams that are really good, I think good examples are Stray Dogs, good examples are Airbenders, and this year's version of Fly Wild, where women are like stepping up, and naturally they are national champions this year. And that makes all the teams look at them and say, okay, this is what we need to do. We need to provide a true equal playing field to our women. And so, what we were working with through the Ashoka University partnership, we have a team of 5 women students who are collecting this data, is to talk to different teammates, keeping complete anonymity, collecting the data about things like who named 3 role models. And more often than not, these role models, whether they're in ultimate or outside ultimate, happen to be men, even for women. And so like that, it's kind of like a trick question, but you can see so then we'll assign some points to that. Then we'll assign some points to data that's being collected from the footage, which is how many women touch the disc. Simply, that's very easy to see from footage. But then like what kind of cuts are being generated for women when they have the disc? Is it just an in cut, or an under, or a dump cut, which is mostly the case, and those are given some weightage. And so the study was quite interesting. We'll publish it pretty soon. By end of May is when this report is due. Once Ashoka University clears it, we share it with everybody. But key here is to provide leadership opportunities to women so that they can make it more gender equal right from the top. And that's what I would say as a takeaway.
Thank you.
Sure, Sonia, thank you. Is Akshay back?
No, I don't see him.
You don't see him, okay.
No, I don't think he's here.
So, I'll try to answer Project K questions. Is there a difference across gender? So I think he'd be much better at handling these questions about Project Khel, obviously. Um, but in general, what's interesting is Survey, like with an NGO setup, there are things that you can do which you cannot do in a non-NGO or a college or a school setup. For instance, like if you are, if you're looking at storm chasers as a team, as an example, you can't force an equal gender number on your roster. But you can force that in all of these NGOs. You can simply say, you need to have 10 women, you need to have 10 men. That's your team. That's the only kind of setup you can have. And so we kind of force the issue on gender equality and then see how things play out. And usually there are positive outcomes, but of course it's a controlled environment in some sense. But there are actually tangible benefits to that as well. We can see changes that the like instead of like looking at it from overcoming social reservation, it's actually like these women that play ultimate because they're given the opportunity through the NGOs. They're able to go out there and do things which are so counter and different from from their peers in their communities. Another great example is UA. UA is actually a completely women-only football academy. It's in Jharkhand, outside in a place called Hutuk, outside of Ranchi. UA is also is co-run by Rose. Rose is an girls to the national team for the WJUC team. So what UA does is pretty cool. They do have a men's program as well, but they kind of take the control system that I was talking about to an extreme. UA says if a man wants to join or a boy wants to join their really good coaching program, this is for football, but it kind of applies in this general conversation. So if the boy wants to be part of the UA Football Academy, what they do is they force the boy, I mean, not force, but they say, if you want to continue with us, you have to bring 4 girls with you. And you can learn from us for free as long as the 4 girls are attending the football academy with you. If any of them drops out, you also have to drop out. So this is their way of kind of leveling the gender gap that's been existing in sport for forever. So there are like interesting ways like that. And what I've learned from UA, I would talk to somebody from Faith Foundation if they ask me, how do I get more girls to play? And this would be one of the ideas, to bring boys to play, but get them to bring girls to play. So the partnership with the UPAI, what it does is it allows this kind of sharing of information. Hopefully, to bridge the gender divides. Cool, so any other questions?
Hi, Manik, Gaurav here. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, so Manik, just wanted to kind of ask you one particular situation that most of the people in the urban scenario face. Just wanted to get a perspective from your experience. Largely with all the facilities given in the urban scenario, it's still a challenge to have players attend, sessions and keep them engaged throughout the season. How exactly did these NGOs that you've been interacting with or have been engaged with, what were the different kind of methods that you guys deployed there to kind of keep it going, where the problems are much more real?
So your question is about how to make them attend sessions? Is that what you're saying?
Also keep them engaged with this particular sport. I mean, in a scenario where problems can be much more real, right, like where there are more crucial things to attend at the home family level, how do you keep them engaged with the sport?
Sure. So it's a good thing and a bad thing. So for a lot of these NGOs, they are almost like, not fully all the time, but they are part of these families. Good NGOs develop really good relationship with parents. They have constant, weekly, consistent home visits. So basically somebody from, let's look at, Project Khel as an example. So they would have staff members from Project Khel go to every, kid's house, talk to the parents on a kind of a weekly basis, and they will know what Project Khel is and what is Project Khel doing for my kid. So the parents are aware. They're almost like Project Khel is like a second school, and they understand that Project Khel does a lot for their kids. So essentially what Project Khel does is, I'm just giving us an example, right? Project Khel becomes a part of the decision becomes a decision maker for that kid. And so there will be pushback from families, especially like, in a city like Lucknow, there would be like these kids, like I think what Surbi was asking, a girl is wearing shorts and playing out in public, and there would be some pushback from that, or practice times, becoming very late, or traveling outside of Lucknow, going all the way to Surat, have to be in a train all by yourself or with other boys. All of these are problems in many communities. But how we counter it or balance it is through constant community engagement. That means constant having good relationship with the parents, who are obviously finally the decision makers, but to bring them onto our side and explain to them what we are doing, working with the kids is really important for the kids' future. Give them examples of good role models. And so then we kind of convince the parents to work with Project Khel, with whatever NGO, and go along with programming elements like all the things that urban Frisbee teams face. That is, late night practices, early morning practices. You have to pay money to play. There is no gold medal. There's no sponsorship. There's no TV appearances. All of these problems that regular ultimate people face are also the same things that these kids' parents ask. Like, why do I have to send my kid? Everybody around me is saying your girl is doing something bad. How do I counter that? And so all of these, it's an ongoing thing, but I think NGOs are much better equipped than amateur club teams like the rest of us, because they've already worked with communities. They already have this conversation before. But now to explain it in a sports context or an ultimate Frisbee context is a little challenging, but which is where UPAI can come in and help with some numbers and some certificates and sometimes like trophies. These are things that for NGOs are huge, are very important, because the parents appreciate some of this, medals and hardware and certificates and photographs in the press, things like that. They really appreciate that. They feel like their kid is doing good. So I hope I've answered your question. Is it from the parents' point of view or also the kids' point of view? Have I covered it?
Yeah, Manickam. I mean, that was helpful. Yeah.
Okay.
I just have one more question. Sorry.
Sure.
When you were talking about empowering women and putting women in leadership positions, or being captains of teams, or these kind of things, how, do you have tips on how we can do that? Because even if you give the opportunity to some women to take that position, I find it difficult to take up the position, just because I don't know, I feel it's something linked to feeling like you're legitimate to do it. So
Yeah.
even though you know that it's going to have an impact on your team, and by doing that, you're setting an example for others, or you're going to help your team being more mixed. But then at the same time, yeah, how, like, you know, I find that there's something around legitimacy. So you have that opportunity, but then how do you make use of it? Yeah, I don't know if my question is clear.
No, I get it, but can I reframe
Yeah,
the concept in my own words? So I think the idea is we want women in leadership, and that will lead to good things. All of us agree on that, and I hope so. But you know, like leaders should be of both genders, and it's good for both genders that way. However, because of this gap, there is a gap. All right, like just like there is a gap in how women are coming into sports, like most women are discouraged from sports from when they were young. Similarly, most women are discouraged from being you know, decision makers in real life as well and in sport. One of the things to do is, I think it's a two-step process. First step is to make sure that there is an opportunity available. So you need to force, in my opinion, you need to force openings where we say we need to have reservation for both genders. So in the recent past, in the last couple of years, UPA has been part of a movement around the ultimate Frisbee world where you know, many national organizations are adopting a gender equal approach to leadership. So UPAI, all our committees, our executive board, have this 50-50 gender reservation system for leadership positions. So you can check that out in our on our website. Similarly, AFDA, which is the Australian Federation, have a 30%, I think, right now. We went one step ahead and did it 50%. There is that movement happening. So basically, we want to make sure the first step is to create that opportunity. And the second step is to, when we create that opportunity, it's not a magic bullet, right? So it's not enough. I think we need to make sure there is a really good support system for the woman to succeed as a leader. And that's really important, especially in the light of women not having had that experience before. Now we are giving that woman that opportunity to get that experience. We're not just going to throw her in the deep end and say, go figure out how to swim. What we're going to do is we need to say there will be a couple of more experienced people, mostly it happens to be men, to be on her, you know, on her side, to be able to provide her the backing if she's about to fail, or if she is failing, then not step in and take over, but provide her the backing to make sure that she is coming back strong, and that's super important. So I think it's a two-step thing. So I'll give you an example from my first club team experience in India. It's a team called Airborne in Chennai. And so like there, I had all these different ideas that I wanted to try out. And one of the things that we did was, as the core group, core leadership group in Airborne, we decided the one whole season we were going to have only women captains. But the truth is, I mean, I'm not proud of it, but the truth is, I was the one who was running the team. I made all the decisions, and there was a woman figurehead captain. And that's not women's leadership. That's just stupid, right? That's just for show. But then we worked on it. We worked on it in the next year. We had a couple of women captains. Some of them are really good. They're on the national team now. Those are women captains who actually made decisions because they had guys like me in the background, not stepping up and taking over, but stepping back and giving support. And that's important. Staying away, staying invisible, and make sure that the woman is able to make real decisions, is able to learn from your experience, and go out there and gain confidence by experience. And then automatically the next step would be she's going to go ahead and make new leaders of both genders. And that's going to happen. And that's the path forward, in my opinion. Did that answer your question, Soumya? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think my question wasn't super clear, but yeah, I think, I think it's just very challenging to implement, and no one has really figured out precisely what we need to do, but yeah, thank you.
Sure. Please reach out to me or write to operations@indiaultimate.org. Mrinalini, Sumesh, these are the operations managers. We work with all of these organizations. We're happy to engage with you as well and put you in touch with them. I also wanted to just kind of wrap up by talking about the future. I think right now the number is 19. That's the number of organizations we're dealing with. And engaging and building relationships. We wanted to go to 50 next year, whenever next year is. And what I'm kind of hinting at is NGO space, the development space. It's a very clear, a nice nexus of what is required, what is needed by the NGOs, by the beneficiaries, if you want to call them. The children, the youth, the women, who have been on the other side of the equality barrier. And what Ultimate Frisbee does is provides that opportunity to make it real, make it gender equal truly, and not just gender, but pluralistically make it equal, make it a true equal playing field. So, and this movement is going to just like steamroll. And I feel a lot of different NGOs will be sending Frisbee teams to CS, to the future, and we'll get to meet them there. I think this is part of the future of the growth of Indian Ultimate. We should recognize that and hopefully plan for that as well. So that's. With that, I'll wrap up. Thank you, Madhu and Airbenders, for this fantastic opportunity. Really happy that you folks are doing this. I think it's a great service to us all, not just in India, but the Ultimate community at large. Thank you.